What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a podcast about movies. I am your host, Jacob Barber, joined as always by Austin Pez Howell. Austin, how is it going?
Well, at least one of our teams won today.
that
One of
is
your teams,
true.
one of the teams showed up to play, so another one didn't. Denver didn't show up to play either. So yeah.
No, they did not. And thankfully, I have their rookie running back on my fantasy team, and he scored like 52 points today. So yes,
Wow.
it has been a good day for me.
It's a good day for you in football. Brighten up the rest of your week. Good for you.
Yeah, it's off to a good start. This is a good
Yes.
start to the week, good end to the weekend, however you want to look at it.
Mhm.
Also, a good end to the weekend is doing
Yes.
this show, continuing our anniversary series as we are diving into the 2000s with quite a group of movies. I think this is a good mix of movies here.
Yeah.
that we'll get into. One of them was a first time watch for me. This was the first time. Only one of them was a first time watch. The other week there would be like at least two, maybe.
Mhm.
And with the 90s, the three of them were first time watches. So
Yeah.
it was nice to kind of revisit and just, uh, you know, remember the good times I had, because I like all these movies. With we'll get into it. One of them I'm like, that's fine. But we'll
I have one that's a favorite of mine. I had two first time watches and one that I don't think I had seen since it came out in theaters. So I was curious to revisit.
Yeah. But we can just get right into it. And I think we should just start here. Let's start it off with just
why not? Yeah.
Probably the most fun movie we are going to cover this episode. A Fast and Furious movie that I think you and I are higher on than most people. So
I might be higher on it than all
it.
of the internet. I don't know. Like, this is my favorite Fast and Furious movie. I still love that. This is the one I go back to the most, that I've watched the most. And we'll get into it, but there's a reason for that, especially looking back at the franchise and what it's become now. I just appreciate how simple and straightforward this movie is. There's no space. There's no global trekking and heisting. There's no computer hacking. It's we're doing a little mission against a bad guy. And you know what we're using, Jacob, to help in this mission? Our driving skills, which is what we're known for, which is what we're good at. We use our driving to get the job done. What a concept, right, for all these guys.
Yeah, which is where this franchise used to be about street racing, and now
there's street racing in this movie. There's 2 street races in this movie. Isn't that great?
Yeah, and then there's a lot of driving that is just simple driving, and and I don't know, there's no Vin Diesel in this one.
Which might also contribute to my love of this movie.
Yeah.
Not to say I don't appreciate Vin Diesel, but what he's become in the series, and I just have to be the brooding badass who just can defeat anything in front of him, and everything's just about me. It's refreshing to go back and watch this movie where it's just really likable Paul Walker. And it was Tyrese before he was like a total clown in the series. Like, I still think he has his funny moments, but he's also it's not the same character, necessarily going back and watching him, he's got a harder edge to him in this one. He cracks jokes when he needs to, but he's got that edge to him, in this one, which I like. And again, it's just kind of a more simple, hey, we're doing this little cop operation, in Miami against this sort of low level drug dealer guy. And you know what? We need you because you not only used to be a cop, Paul Walker, so you kind of know the drill, but you're really a driver. So use your driving skills and find somebody else who has good driving skills. And y'all infiltrate do this driving thing for this guy and, make it happen. Which is hey, what a concept. Cool. I like it.
Yeah, and I actually rewatched it this week, and I forgot how good of a villain Cole Hauser actually was. I really enjoy his performance. I think he's he's really good. He's menacing when he needs to be with the with the whole rat thing and all that part. Still, like, I do not know what I would do if a rat was crawling on me and I could not get it away like that. I don't think I've seen horror movies that scare me, but I think that might be scarier than anything.
Oh yeah, no, the
horror
rat in the
movie for me
bucket,
personally.
the rat in the bucket gag, freaks me out with like the way he
I
describes it. It's like he's gonna have nowhere to go except for down, into your big belly, like that's kind of freaky. Think about it.
Yeah. So, he's really good. Eva Mendes, even though this is the only one she shows up in, I thought that for sure they'd bring her back. I thought her character was good enough to come back, but they never did. But I thought she was really good. Like you said, Paul Walker and Tyrese. Yeah, Tyrese. I like his character in here. It's gotten, I'm iffy on him now, but I don't. That's not his fault. That's just the way the character is written. But I think Tyrese still is a really good actor in these movies. Paul Walker, like you said, the likable Paul Walker, who's just a really good driver. And it's a simple movie with a simple premise. Like, hey, we're going undercover. You're going to help us beat the bad guy. And there's going to be some really cool racing.
Yeah, some good racing. It's it's interesting. And it's directed by John Singleton, who's not known for his high octane action movies at this point, in like 2003. Right. But I think the opening race is a ton of fun. This is one that I always test my sound system out on when they're thumping the ludicrous music, and all the noises, and all the racing stuff is great. Where we get introduced to Ludacris in this movie, and him kind of running the races and whatnot. I just appreciate that it's like, hey, look how fast Paul Walker can get to the races while we thump Ludacris music. Like, it's just fun. And then he gets there and he does his thing, and we have this fun kind of four race with a young Michael Ealy also, by the way. In that race, which is weird to see. He would go on to be in many I don't know, those trash thrillers, like he's in every other like Tyler Perry trash thriller movie. But and then I'm a huge fan. I can't tell you how many times I've rewatched the tag team race in the middle of the movie where they take the other guys' cars with the muscle cars versus the the more high end cars that they're driving. Like, it's just so much fun. Like just that dynamic or whatever, and again shows off their skills. And again, a simple premise: we just need 2 more cars. Well, let's race for them instead of just doing a heist for them. Let's just race these 2 guys. Like, what a concept!
We don't need to steal them. We don't need to do any of that.
Let's just straight up race them for the cars. Hey, the villain Cole Hauser wants to know which of these guys are the best drivers. All right, you guys race to this thing, get this thing, and bring it back to me. So we have a nice highway race with all these other cars. Everything's is central to racing. Even the kind of big climax finale where they organize the pretty awesome thing in the garage, and all the cars like streaming out of the garage, to fool the cops, great. The 100 cars. It's a lot of fun. And again, we're using our our connections with the racing world. Again, it all is just very simple. I mean, the biggest sort of stunt you could say, the most unbelievable thing is like the jump onto the boat at the end, which is silly, but like in context of the series, that's like nothing compared to us taking a car into space. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like jumping a ramp onto a boat is not that big a deal in the context of this franchise. What it's become.
Yeah, like that's I could very, very much believe that compared to a car going into space.
Right.
Until I see it happen in the real world, I choose not to believe that could ever happen.
Yeah.
I also think, like, if you wanted to show somebody in like 20 years what the 2000s was like, show them this movie. Show them this movie.
What everybody was wearing, the cars, the music, I mean, just the trends, everything in this movie. It's definitely like a time capsule, but a fun time capsule. It has my boy James Remar in this movie as like, the head cop guy kind of running the operation. Like, I love James Remar. He's great. He's a great character actor. Lots of little character actors pop. The guy who has the the rat put on him. Like he's from Sons of Anarchy. Like I forget that dude's name off the top of my head, but
Mark Boone Jr.
Yeah, Mark Boone. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Like he's a
I had to
recognizable
look him up
guy.
after I watched it.
Cole Hauser, if you didn't know, is the son of Wings Hauser, my boy from Vice Squad, Ramrod from Vice Squad, and who is a really gnarly character actor. I didn't realize Cole Hauser when he made this movie. He's 28 years old in this movie, which is kind of nuts. He like feels like an established like 40-year-old dude or something, but he's like 28 in this movie, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, have you seen the prologue thing? By the way, it's like on the Blu-ray and stuff, or you can find it on YouTube. That kind of shows they filmed this thing. It was kind of like a silent short film, like it just had music over it, but it didn't really have any dialogue. But it showed Paul Walker going from LA to Miami, like his road trip essentially, and making stops. Like he gets to a point, he's able to race a little bit. He's able to buy the car that he has in the movie, slowly upgrade it as he's going across the country. And again, using his racing skills to get money along the way. He's racing this guy, racing that guy, blah, 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 like picking up money along the way and then kind of establishing his spot in Miami and kind of hiding out. It's just like a little 6-minute thing. Like it's kind of cool, just kind of showing how he ended up there, like just basically getting as far away from LA as possible, But yeah, I mean, again, it's good stuff. I just again appreciate the simplicity of the movie. We're not doing global heists and spies and all that kind of stuff. Again, Paul Walker's just so likable in this movie. I miss him so much. Like he's just such a cool presence. That the series is definitely like missing at this point. Again, I like Vin Diesel in the right things, but it misses that energy that Paul brought. As far as that kind of chill, like vibe, like laid back thing, not always trying to be the most badass dude, just kind of bringing like a cool energy to everything. And
something these last 3 movies have kind of been missing.
It's just been missing, and they've tried to replace it with like other people here and there, and it's not really working. But yeah, I kind of wish we had just ended the series with Furious 7, honestly, when it just wouldn't have seemed like a good place to end it, when they did their little goodbye at the end of that movie. It just would have been a nice place to just, cool, we did 7 of these movies, very successful, people love them, cool, let's end it right there. But it's like, no, we just got to keep going and going and going, and every one of them, I'm just like, just shake my head. I'm like, are we still doing this? That's why I kind of yearn for the simpler days of this and like Tokyo Drift, which I'm a big fan of, just because again how simple that movie is too. But yeah, I just dig this one, man, and I think it still works. And I think if people would go back and watch it with a new perspective as far as on the franchise, where this has gone and how overblown and how big this franchise got, to go back and watch a simpler movie, man. Watch these guys just drive. It's great. And it's just and hone in on their skills. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like Fast X kind of sort of went back there, but there's still a few moments where it's like, they're trying to lift the car with the helicopters, and there's still a few stunts. But I think at its core, Fast X is focusing more on the like the family and the driving. I think there's some really good, and there's some good like racing and driving scenes. So I'm hopeful for the conclusion that it's going to be, because I did like Fast. I'm positive on Fast X, where I kind of wasn't on F9 and
F8 as well. F8. Yeah.
But so I'm kind of positive on this one. I'm hoping like they can end it on a good note, but I don't expect it to be as simple as Too Fast, Too Furious, but fingers crossed. But yeah, this one is I don't know
if Vin Diesel would allow it, but yes. But yeah, I just appreciate this movie more and more when I go back to it. I just think it's just very, very simple and fun. Like it's not one of those turn your brain off kind of fun movies. It's just a chill watch, and just watching these guys do what they do and get a simpler time in the franchise, which I miss. So
yeah, we're like an hour 15 in, and you're already to like starting the finale of the movie where they're doing the big, what they were hired to do, and yeah. So
and again, the biggest thing is a jump to a boat, and our biggest piece of tech that we pull out for the movie is like using half cases of NOS to make an ejector seat, you know,
Right.
to eject the bad guy, you know, just very simple, silly stuff, you know, but it's fun. And I appreciate that. And again, using our coordination, using our cars, you know, to our advantage and doing things with cars, I just appreciate. So, yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Not a whole lot to say. Just, I would encourage anybody, if you haven't gone back to watch it, to go back and watch it. I think you'll
I
be
would too.
surprisingly refreshed by how good it is.
And if you don't own the movie, I believe it is streaming on Netflix.
Mm,
So that is where you can find it.
nice.
Funny enough, the only movie of the 4 that I own on Blu-ray. The other 3 are all DVDs for now. So I gotta
see.
upgrade those.
Yeah.
Including the next one, who, directed by a guy I'm a huge fan of.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Big Fish, which was a first time watch for you, so
Yes,
I'm
it
very curious
was.
to hear your
I've been sitting on
thoughts
my
on this.
4K for a while that I bought, I think just during like a Black Friday or something for like $10, you know, picked it up. And I was like, I'll watch it eventually, you know, and I just had to have the right time. I apologize for every time it came up in tournament fights the last year and I still hadn't watched it, but I've been, you know, sitting on the 4K of it. But yes, I can report I have finished it. I have watched it. Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't even really know exactly what it was about. I knew it was kind of some guy telling his life story or something like that. That's really about all I knew. I went in pretty blind. Like I wasn't even really familiar with who else was in it besides like Ewan McGregor and like Albert Finney. Like, I didn't even really know who else who pops up throughout the movie. And yeah, it's this interesting story where, yeah, it's Albert Finney kind of, you know, it's always, well, it's not exactly him just telling his life story, but it's like through conversation, you know, it's him recalling all these stories from his life, you know, kind of Ewan McGregor playing the younger version of himself and Billy Crudup kind of, you know, playing his kid and kind of, you know, not knowing what to believe, you know, with his dad, you know, is he just making all this up? Is he exaggerating? Who's real? Who's not real? He just is like, okay, I know you told all these stories, like they're probably BS, right? So just like tell me what really happened, or you know, I believe you when you say you fell in love with somebody, you did this, did that, but like, come on, you know, like 7-foot giants and you know these crazy circuses where you just work there for you know years, and this little town in the middle of the woods, you know, that's like this perfect, you know, suburban town, you know, and all this other stuff like. He's like, and you know, and well, I guess spoiler alert because we're talking about it. Like, I guess it did all happen, right? Is what they kind of imply.
As you
You
see
know,
at the end, you see all those people
based
show
on
up.
the funeral scene, yeah. So, yeah, no, it was interesting because yeah, I didn't know where it was going exactly. I really like Ewan McGregor in it. I think he brings a really good energy to the movie. You know, he's still kind of, you know, somewhat early Ewan because he was coming off the Star Wars movies, so he's kind of starting to become a star. But he has a really great charisma in this thing. Yeah, he has great chemistry with everybody. I was really happy to see Matthew McGrory, who plays the giant in this movie, because, yeah, as I think I mentioned to you, he's also in House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects as Tiny, one of the Firefly family. But he passed away before the end, before Devil's Rejects came out, and they dedicated the movie to him. Because unfortunately, those guys with those giganticisms, you know, disorders, you know, they don't live very long, unfortunately. Their bodies just can't handle it. But you know, even his character is really interesting, you know, about how he just kind of talks to him. He's just like, hey, what's up, man? Like, how's it going? So I know you're just hungry, but can we like go to a bigger place that has more food? Just, you know, instead of just like stealing everybody's stuff. And he's like, okay, you know, it's like I like that. I like the little stop in the town. I have a thing for Missy Pyle, by the way. So when she showed up in the movie, I was very happy. I have like a thing for her between this and like Galaxy Quest and yeah, a couple of movies. Like I have a thing for Missy Pyle. So that was really nice. Yeah, really early Marion Cotillard. Yeah, it's Billy Crudup's wife. I didn't know she was in the movie, so that was cool. I think my favorite segment would have to be the Danny DeVito stuff and the circus. You know, I enjoy because I enjoy like sideshow, freak show, circus stuff in movies. You know, and the little thing with him actually being a werewolf, you know, it was interesting and fun. So I dug that. But I'm going on and on about this movie, Jacob. I know you like this movie too, but you know, but overall, yeah, I liked it a lot. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I really enjoy it too. I forgot just how many people show up in this movie. Like all the people you mentioned, and then the Steve Buscemi is also
right.
Also shows up, which I don't know how I forgot about him. I thought somebody else played him. I don't know who I
I
thought.
thought he would be in more Tim Burton movies, to be honest, because than he is, because he seems like one of those guys that would fit right in like a Tim Burton movie,
It's really just this one.
It's really just that one, but he's become more of a Coen Brothers guy, or that sort of thing. So, but it's interesting. I think he kind of fits that vibe, Obviously, Helena Bonham Carter's in there because, of course, she is, right. Playing the sort of old witch lady. But yeah, like there's a lot of just little character people that pop up. Deep Roy, of course, who would go on to be in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, there's a lot of good character actors that I appreciate.
Yeah, and actors that he'd work with. Again, obviously, Helena Bonham Carter. He's worked with several times since then. Danny DeVito would show up in Dumbo, kind of like another circus movie, which
he makes for a good like ringleader guy. Like he's got that energy to him. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I like how you said it's more of a movie of segments, telling this cohesive story, and I think it's just a really fun like almost adventure with like these sort of fantastical elements, and I think it's like the more, besides maybe Ed Wood and like Big Eyes, it's like his most just normal down to earth movie where he's not focusing on these haunting themes. Like the color doesn't really matter, that dark tone. Like it's a bright movie, which is kind of weird for Tim Burton, but it works. Like I don't know who else could direct a story like this other than Tim Burton, especially around that time. Like, sure, there might be some now, like, who might be able to do it, but like, like this is definitely a Tim Burton movie. It's a Tim Burton script. I think he does a really good job directing it, and I really enjoy it. I think Ewan McGregor is fantastic.
I think Tim Burton's better when he's just working from these movies where it's all stuff coming out of his brain, his worlds that he creates, as opposed to when he's working with other people's material, like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I know some people like that movie. I'm just saying, for me personally, that or Dark Shadows, which was a TV show, or Planet of the Apes, or like, God, what Alice in Wonderland, I get that Alice in Wonderland like fits his vibe, but still it's like, I think it's better when he's working with worlds that he created, it's like this, Beetlejuice, Pee-wee. I just watched Edward Scissorhands like for the first time. I want to say for the first time, but I can't remember the last time I watched it, so it might as well have been. But that was all his creation. Ed Wood is like a real story, but he kind of creates this fantastical, look to it and all that. When he's working, Sleepy Hollow, Sweeney Todd, when he's like working with even just some material, but he's creating a world, that fits him and fits his brain. I think that's when he's at his best. And a lot of people say that this is kind of one of the last examples. I guess this is Sweeney Todd of like before he kind of fell off a little bit, and just started doing everybody else's stuff. Because like you said, Dumbo was like, okay,
it was fine. Yeah,
it's fine, but he's still working with a previous story, and it's like, there's only so much you can do with that.
Yeah, and when you're adding so much to the movie, I'm pretty sure he doubled the runtime, because you're not going to remake a 60-minute movie and only make it 60 minutes. So like, that was a case of a remake where everything was changed. I don't think there was anything from the original other than like the pink elephant scene, which they were able to incorporate, but really that's the definition of a remake, I think. But this Sweeney Todd, and then his I think his last animated one, Frankenweenie, which was 2012, which was the same year as Dark Shadows. That was a very up and down year for him.
I hated Dark Shadows, bro. Like I hated everything about Dark Shadows. I saw it in theaters and I was like, never again. I'll watch that movie ever again. I did not like anything about that movie.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
it's not good. And I'm a Johnny Depp fan. I'm a Tim Burton fan, but I think even the most diehard Tim Burton Johnny Depp fans will say,
nah,
that's not great at all.
You're just like, I'd rather just put on Edward Scissorhands or Ed Wood or one of these other ones.
Any other Johnny Depp Tim Burton collaboration. Or even Big Fish, because Big Fish is really good. And I think it kind of just goes by. I think it's a quick watch too, even though it's a 2-hour movie. I think it goes by at a really good pace. I think
Well, I think that segmented style helps too, because it's just like you said, it's a series of kind of vignettes. Because like I said, it's got the stuff where he's becoming like the sports star in his town, and then he moves on away from the town into like that little perfect little suburb town in the middle of the woods, and then it's like we move on to the circus segment, and then we move on to this, that, we just keep moving from like kind of segment to segment as the story goes along. But I do think it really came together. Like I enjoyed the ending where Billy Crudup is like making up a story on the spot, and in the hospital, and kind of seeing it play out with him like carrying his dad, and they're making like a getaway through the, from the hospital, and then everybody, all the characters that we've seen kind of show up, near that river, like I thought that was pretty cool. Like I enjoyed that. And then everybody sharing stories at the funeral and whatnot. And they don't even have to say it. It's just like Billy Crudup just kind of going around and like looking at everybody and just like putting it together, just like, all right, well, there's that, and there's that, and there's that. Yeah, right. So, and how everybody showed up to pay their respects to him and all that. Like, I enjoyed how it all kind of pieced together at the end. So, and Albert Finney's just a great narrator, kind of, the way he tells the stories and stuff. He's got a good voice for it.
Yeah, I think I really like the narrating style too. That's a good shout. This might have gone up on my, because I rewatched it this week too. No, I really didn't need to, but I think I think it might have gone up on my Burton rankings on this most recent rewatch. I had a really good time with it this time.
Other than Sweeney Todd, what are like your top couple of Burton movies?
So
I know Sweeney Todd's in one, right? Like for sure.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd, and then Ed Wood is up there, and then Batman Returns is up there. I love Batman Returns even more so than Batman, which is probably also top 5. And then I really enjoy Corpse Bride as well. So those are probably like the top 5 outside of Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, I think I go Batman 89 just because it's one of my favorite movies, period, ever. I'd probably go Mars Attacks after that. I just love Mars Attacks. It came on cable a lot. I watched that movie to death. Like I just really like that movie, and I like the stuff that's kind of satirizing with like 50s sci-fi, because I've gotten into that as I've gotten older. Ed Wood, man, I've watched it a lot since I first watched it like 4 or 5 years ago, and man, that movie gets better and better, and it's just so damn watchable. Really good. And then probably like Pee-wee and Beetlejuice, something like that, to like round it out. Like I said, more on like early Burton than like later. I need to revisit Sleepy Hollow. That's one that I haven't seen in a long time. So you know what? If we end up doing, it's coming up on, that'll be a 25th anniversary. We could put it on the docket for one of those. That'll be a 99 release, and it's been a minute. So, and I don't remember a lot about it. So that'd be one I could revisit. We could still get some Burton in the next anniversary series for each of them. So
there we go. Yeah,
some more Burton and Johnny Depp. Yeah, no, I'm due for a rewatch on that one. So that could be one we go to.
Yeah, features another guy I thought would have been featured more in some Tim Burton movies, and Christopher Walken. I thought he could have been in some more Burton movies, but I think it's just that one. I don't know. He doesn't show up in Mars Attacks, does he? Because it feels like everyone.
No. Walken's not in there. Danny DeVito's in there, but Walken's not. But that movie has everybody else in it.
Right. So is he the one? He's the one actor that was doing something else at that time.
Yeah,
at the time of filming,
right?
But I'm glad you finally watched it.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was a good watch. I appreciate it.
So that's 2003, and then we moved into 2008, and this was the one. Yeah, so 15 years. Which, to start off, because I know some people will be like, "Well, that movie was released in 2009." Blah, 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 blah. Well, it had its festival release in 2008, and so that's why we're counting it.
And then it was at the 2009 Oscars also.
Right,
so it is what it is. It's fine.
Yeah. And it's a movie that I've always heard decent things about and just haven't gotten to. So kind of use this as an excuse to finally watch it. It's kind of what this is, I think, for us. It's more of a we want to champion these movies that we really like, but also kind of get some first time watches out of the way. and that's what this was for me. This was a first time watch.
Mm.
And was this the one you said you hadn't seen since?
I know I saw it in the theaters. I might have seen it right afterwards when it came out on DVD. I might have like rented it again or something like that. Watched it again. I think my parents wanted to watch it, so we all watched it. But I haven't seen it in 15 years. I know that's the last time I watched it. So yeah, this was another, like, we always kind of have like a wild card. We're like, yeah, I just haven't revisited it in a long time, so I wanted to see how it would play. And yeah, no. As good as I remembered it being, maybe better. Really good. Yeah, I dug it. Yeah, I dug it a lot.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. But I wasn't like over the moon about it. I thought there were some really good performances. Some of the war scenes were really good, but I don't know. It felt to me like there was no really storyline that we were following other than them just getting through these last 30 days.
Yeah, it's more of a character study than like a narrative thing, just about Renner and Anthony Mackie and like this small group of guys, and kind of what they do and getting in their heads and their frustrations and their fears and all that kind of stuff. It's more of just like a character study about and just more of a piece about military guys, around this time period, that sort of thing. Then I think, a narrative of like, we got to get from A to B to do, this thing, this mission. It's more just like a look into the lives of these guys, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I think maybe I need to watch it again. And because like I said, I liked it. I think there's some good performances. I think some of these war scenes, like the one where Anthony Mackie's, being a sniper and getting the guys in the building. I think that scene's really good. I think there's some really good stuff there between Jeremy Renner and Anthony Mackie. I didn't even know who was in this movie. That's how little I know about this.
Well, I didn't realize we had on the docket 2 Ralph Fiennes movies.
Right? Yeah.
We always seem to have some weird connection. Like, remember when we did 2 Zelda Rubinstein movies and we didn't realize it with Poltergeist or Behind the Mask, and then we watched it and we were like both in it. Like, I knew he was in Bruges at some point, even though I hadn't seen it. I did not remember he was in Hurt Locker, and then he shows up like halfway through the movie for that one sequence.
Yeah, for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then I was like,
I thought he would stick around more.
No, but he gets picked off. Yeah, in that scene. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's an actor who I think within 5 years he should.
Well, he's one of the. Anytime you see a list, Jacob, of like the best actors that have never won an Oscar, he's always on the list because. And even looking back, when you look at something, a role where he probably should have won, looking back, when the one everybody points to for him is when Tommy Lee Jones won for The Fugitive, which he's good in it. But Ralph Fiennes was also nominated that year for Schindler's List, and he's incredible in that movie. Looking back, it's like Tommy Lee Jones is fun, but Ralph Fiennes is scary. Like, really scary, and like an all-time scary in that movie, and all-time great. He probably should have won for that, and it's just, it's one of those things where that probably was his best chance, unfortunately, and just didn't happen. Any other time he's been nominated, he's had very stiff competition, here and there, so it just hasn't been his time yet. I think he'll get one eventually. I hope it's soon because
I'm hoping,
that dude deserves it. He's great. He's really great.
Yeah. So I knew he was going to show because I kind of looked at the cast list when it was like an hour 15 in and he hasn't shown up yet. I'm like, I thought Ralph Fiennes was supposed to be in this movie. I was like, was he a voice that we heard?
I said the same thing about In Bruges. We'll talk about it. I was like, I'm like an hour into this movie. Where's Ralph Fiennes? And then he finally shows up in that movie also.
Yeah, but again, I don't dislike the movie. I guess I didn't know what to expect, and I don't know. Like, I expected some sort of narrative, like some sort of mission, I guess.
Right.
And it was just like, hey, we're just in the arm, we're in the war, and we're just waiting out these 30 days.
And whatever happens just day to day, the things we encounter, and there's a unexploded bomb over here, like, let's go check it out. There's a report of something over here, like, let's go check it out. But it's not like one bad guy, like, pushing the thing, you know what I mean? Like, there's no villain really, it's just the situation that they're in. Yeah, just kind of going day to day.
But I like I said, I do think there's some real good like moments of tension in here, like that sniper scene, anytime he's trying to disarm a bomb, I think
God,
is
the one
really
scene
good.
where he pulls the cords and like the 6 bombs come out of the ground,
that one,
and it's just like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
oh yeah, this is, oh, yeah, that's a situation. Yeah, that's
yeah.
pretty tense.
I
Yeah,
really enjoyed the opening scene. I
the
think the
guy
opening
with
scene
the
is
end
really good.
with the thing strapped on him that they can't get off and hit the, he's trying to cut off the bolts and all that, and he just can't do it, and that's one
Mhm.
where he fails. He can't get the job done. Yeah, all the weird stuff with the kid. He thinks like the kid is dead and it's not the kid. Like that's weird stuff too.
Yeah,
Like what? Yeah, it's still not fully explained like what that's all about. If he was just
right.
projecting onto the kid, that he just thought it was, and that whole side thing. Yeah, it's just and how maybe everything can just play with your head. But yeah, it's more just like this character study of this guy who kind of, as they say, kind of gets off on this a little bit, with the adrenaline, and he kind of it's his thrill in life, and nothing else thrills him in life. The theme that everybody talks about in this movie is near the end where he's just in the supermarket looking at the line of cereals on the cereal aisle, and it's just like, really, like, this is what I came back for. I mean, he loves his kid and everything, but it's like, this is what I got
Yeah.
to look forward to, just going to the grocery store every week, when I could be doing something else.
I
Yeah.
almost wish we got more of that, like more of the aftermath. Like we
Yeah.
see him in civilian life for 5 minutes, and then he's back.
Yeah.
Which I guess I get that this is a war movie and it's focusing on that, but I at least maybe cut off, yeah, I don't know, cut off maybe 10-15 minutes of the war stuff and give us 10-15 minutes of
Sure.
home life before he goes back, because it does show at the end that he's going back and that he's
Mhm.
deployed again. But again, that's just a nitpick. Like I said, I think it's got some good performances. It's just not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And so maybe on a rewatch I'll go into it like, hey,
Mhm.
this is the movie we're getting, and maybe I'll like it more, because like I didn't dislike it. It's a good movie. I'm pretty sure it was nominated for Best Picture, and I get it. Um, and yeah, no, good. I think Catherine Bigelow did a good job directing it. I think Anthony Mackie is really good. There were times where I forgot, Jeremy Renner is the team leader and not Anthony Mackie, because Anthony Mackie just
Yeah. Right.
acts so much like he's in charge.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I thought those two were really good. Who knew Hawkeye and Falcon would be really good together?
A good team. It's almost like maybe they should have been the team instead, because they have some experience being a team, with the chemistry. But yeah, no, Falcon, Hawkeye, and can we just admit now and stop the controversy that Jeremy Renner's a good actor? Like, stop all the
He
nonsense. Like, he's a good actor, man.
he
Like, he's
is
a really good
between
actor.
the town. He's really good
The
in.
Town, Wind River.
Yep.
I don't love Arrival, but he's good in it.
Yeah.
Like, he's good in the Avengers movies. Like, when he shows up, like, he's good at playing that character. Yeah, I mean, even in, like, I don't know if you've ever seen that Hansel and Gretel movie, but like, he's fun in that movie too, the Witch Hunter movie.
I think I've
Like,
seen it
it's
once.
it's a
Yeah.
silly movie, but like, he has charisma and he's good in it.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good actor, man. Like, and he is. And some people would argue maybe he's a better as a co-star, but like, I think you look at between this and like Wind River, and he's a great star. Like, he can lead a movie, no problem.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I've been meaning. I know he's got a TV show he's working on right now, or that it's in the second or third season. I forget what it's called, but yeah, he's got like a TV show as the lead of it.
I've heard good things about that too.
Yeah, I've heard he's good in that as well. And I know they had to delay it a little bit because of his accident he was in, which I'm glad he's okay.
Mayor of Kingstown.
Yeah, no, I've heard good things about that as well, and that's what he's working on, which is cool. Good for him, getting to lead a show. And but yeah, he's a good actor, man. You should give him credit. Anthony Mackie for the most part is good too, except for in Crossover.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Who knew Papa Doc from 8 Mile would turn into the star he is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So no, yeah, no. I'm gonna give it a second chance and see if my opinion changes on it. So right now it's just a movie I like. Not over the moon about it, but that can change. I mean, I didn't like Fight Club the first time I watched it, so
right.
Second watches can definitely be necessary.
Mm-hmm.
A movie I watched for the second time and you watched for the first time, and I'm so glad we chose this, because I remember really liking. It's probably been like 10 years since I've seen this. Yeah,
Bruges.
in Bruges, directed by Martin McDonagh, starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who reunited last year for Banshees of Inisherin, which was one of my favorites of the year. Had a movie about Weird Al not come out last year, this would have been my that would have been my favorite.
Sure.
um,
It was in my top 10 too. Yeah, I really
yeah,
like Banshees. Banshees was great. Yeah.
Julian, I was pulling for Colin Farrell for Best Actor, but I think it kind of fell off towards the end and was more in Brendan Fraser's favor. Which I finally watched The Whale, and I get it. Yeah,
Yeah,
he deserves the win.
Yeah.
So
That
but
movie
we're
gets
not
weird
talking.
at times, but he's good in it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
there were moments in that, not to go off on a tangent here, but yeah, there was times in The Whale where I was like, what? I thought the daughter was kind of a over the top at sometimes at being a jerk, but
Sure.
for the most part, I thought it was
It's kind
a
of
really
weird
good.
that Banshees is Colin Farrell's only Oscar nomination. But I mean, he's got
Yeah,
time. Like you might get there, but that's the only time he's ever been nominated for an Oscar. As many like awesome roles as he's had. I'd have to look up Brendan Gleeson as well because he's a guy. He's a great character actor who I've always appreciated. Even going back to stuff like God, Lake Placid. He's in Lake Placid. He's in Gangs in New York, which I love. He becomes like the sort of a guy who gets elected sheriff and all that. Dude with the shillelagh. Like, he's been around for forever. He's another guy who's just been around for years who just has always been that character, that really reliable guy, who you could just throw in something. He's really great. But yeah, he just has such a good presence about him. And like I said, yeah, this whole cast is flawless because we talked about Ray Fiennes, who, yeah, I didn't realize it was him on the phone. And the couple of times we hear him on the phone. But yeah, he doesn't really show up till a little over an hour into the movie, when he finally decides to go to Bruges. But yeah, so this is one that, again, I'll go back to it again at some point. This might be the one for me, Jacob, that I liked. I don't know if I loved it yet. I'm on the side of liking it, but I'm not all the way there with it yet. Mainly because I thought the tone was just kind of all over the place for this movie. And maybe I just wasn't ready for it. I had heard things about it being a dark comedy, and I can definitely see that because there's a lot of dark comedic stuff like in the first, 45 minutes or so. And I was fine with all that. But then like the stuff, and again, sort of a spoiler obviously for these movies, but when we see like why they're in Bruges because he shot the kid, I was like, wow, that's really dark, like really, really dark, kind of out of nowhere. And then they're just making jokes again like a few minutes later. I was like, that's a little odd. Where Brendan Gleeson and his characters end up by the end of the movie, not that they're good people or anything, they're very morally great characters. They're hitmen, obviously, so yeah, they're not the most savory characters. But where that ends up, I mean, is pretty dark, and even where Ray Fiennes end up, where everybody ends up, was pretty dark. So, I mean, I enjoyed the chemistry between the two leads, and their banter back and forth. When Ray Fiennes came in, I thought he had some really funny moments, actually, like some really darkly funny moments. Just the whole, all the stuff, when he's getting the gun and he's just like, he'd have to be pretty close to you, right? So he shot you like a little gay boy, like just the way he delivers the lines are just really funny, just without cracking a smile. When they're going back and forth and being like, all right, so what do we do now? You really promise you're going to jump into the canal? And then it stops and it's like, who says 1, 2, 3, go? You say it or I say it? I liked all that stuff. I thought that was funny. Like, there's good, funny moments in here. I just thought the tone was kind of wonky and all over the place. And maybe that's Martin McDonagh. Maybe it's because it's early Martin McDonagh. Maybe he hadn't figured out his tone yet.
Movie, yeah.
I know, yeah. So maybe he hasn't figured out the balance yet, because Banshees does the same thing, Jacob. You remember, there's very dark moments in that movie, but there's also very funny moments in that movie,
right.
Throughout the whole thing, especially with Brendan Gleeson's character and what he does to himself throughout that movie. But yeah, so I think he struck the balance better in that one. But I could totally see why this is a cult movie that people dig on. I totally get it. And again, I liked it overall. I'm not at that point of championing it as an amazing cult movie that I'm going to watch over and over again. That sort of thing.
And I get that. I really loved this rewatch though. I think I think Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell have such good chemistry with each other between this and Banshees. I think they're really good. I think the back and forth between them, some of the dialogue between them is really good and really funny. But I think Ray Fiennes and Colin Farrell. I think anytime they're on screen together, is so good. Like every moment that you mentioned, I was laughing out loud. I think even when he's like first introduced on screen. And his wife comes in.
Smashing the phone.
It's an inanimate object.
You're an inanimate object. No.
That's something I would say. Like if
something I would say too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've said that. I've told people without even knowing it. Like they'll bump into something. I'll be like, "Watch out for those inanimate objects. They'll jump out at you and get you." Stuff like that. Like I've said shit like that. So I was like, "Yep, I would probably say that."
Yeah, I think Ray Fiennes is just really funny in this movie. But also menacing when he needs to be. And I get what you mean about the tone being all over the place, but I think for me it works.
Sure.
I dig it. I think yes, there's some really good dark comedy. I found myself laughing a lot. I think I found myself laughing a lot more in this than I did Banshees, but I like Banshees more because I think it's just a better written script, even though you might not be able to understand what they're saying half the time, but I think like just the tone of that one isn't all over the place like this one is.
Yeah.
I think this is like I said, this is his first early first fefeature length film. He's got a short film with Brendan Gleeson. I can't remember what it's called. It's like 27 minutes.
I have it pulled up. Six shooter, yeah.
I think he's done some plays too. So he's done plays from like 1996 all the way to 2018, which I guess the Banshees of Inisherin was one of them, but it was just unproduced, so I don't think it was actually ever released.
I could see Banshees being a stage play because there's not much, hopping around. You really would only need several sets. It'd be like the two guys' houses and the pub, and that's about it. And maybe a church, that's about all you would need for that movie. And maybe like a pathway for them to cross on, and that's about it. That's all you'd really need for that whole.
So since that movie takes place kind of in that one place, would you count that as a one location movie?
In that one island? Maybe. But I don't really consider, if it takes place throughout an entire city or a town, I don't really consider that truly like a one location thing per se. I think it needs to be even more narrowed down than that. It needs to be like as narrow as like a neighborhood or something, or just one kind of building or a central thing. Because if they're still wandering around from place to place within that town and it feels bigger than it is, that's one thing. Because you could also be like, any movie that takes place in New York City but doesn't stray from New York City is a one location movie, which is like, no, it's not. It's right. Place,
I think Inisherin, I think it's a much more condensed, which is why I don't much up.
You can make an argument for it. I don't know if I'd go with you on that one. If it was on tier ranker, I'd vote not a one location movie. But I mean, you can make an argument for it. I could see it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to go back and watch Seven Psychopaths because that's the only Martin McDonagh movie now that I haven't seen.
That's one that I haven't seen either. I think I started it at one point and just didn't finish it. I only got like a few minutes into it and I got sidetracked with something. But I have seen Three Billboards a couple of times. I always forget he directed that. Actually, I always forget that. But yeah, that one's probably the best of the bunch overall.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Really good too. Yeah,
I think all four of them are. I don't think he doesn't have a miss yet. He's only got 4, and he's written and directed them all. So I'm very curious to see what he does next. I hope we don't have to wait 5 years for the next one to come out. Well, 4 years at this point, but
maybe it's because he puts a lot of planning into them. He fine tunes those scripts. He gets all the right people in the right place for it. And he does his thing. I mean,
they have a really good cast.
It's not that unusual if you think about guys like Quentin Tarantino or like James Cameron or these people that wait years in between movies because they just got to get it just right. I mean, Tarantino basically waits about 4 years in between all of his movies. Like not as much in the 90s, but from the 2000s on, he would give a couple of years between his movies.
It's been since 2019. Was that one Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, yeah. And then before that was Hateful Eight in 2015, and then Django in 2012. Then The Glorious Bastards like 2009. He waits 3 or 4 years in between movies, so it's not that unusual. To wait a couple of years for these guys.
But back to In Bruges. I'll agree with you. The tone is all over the place. I think it works for me personally. I think just because I just like the chemistry between Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell, which I think even more so in Banshees. But I think this is where it starts. And like you can kind of see like why Martin McDonough would bring them back 15 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just really good. I love the friendship between them. It's kind of it feels like a mentor mentee almost, because he's that was his first job was to kill the priest,
Guy, yeah.
and then unfortunately he also gets the little boy, and you see later on like how much that actually affected him. Like there's good moments of comedy, but then there's also some good emotion here too. Like when he's sitting on the park bench and Ken goes to kill him because that's the next job. They're supposed to be there waiting for a job, and that's Ken's job, but not Ray's because whatever his name.
But it actually turns into a funny joke because he doesn't kill him, but doesn't let him kill himself either, and that becomes like
right.
I'm just like Rick Fiennes being like, "So wait, you mean to tell me you didn't kill him, but he was going to kill himself anyways, which just solved both of our problems, but then you still didn't kill him afterwards, so you had multiple opportunities besides yourself, and you still didn't do it. Like it becomes a funny little bit later of like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me he was going to off himself and you didn't just let him? That you didn't even have to kill him. Yeah, like that I thought that turned into a decent bit though.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And they almost deliver. I feel like Ray Fiennes almost delivers it like he's, in some sort of like spoof movie, but like it actually works. I think for like the movie, it's because it's not a spoof movie. It's just a dark comedy. But the way he delivers some of the lines, like it's like you expect like the score to just stop and him to be like come to like the realization like, so wait a minute. All of our problems could have been solved, and apparently don't hit a Canadian when he's on vacation. Don't hit Canadians. No. They will find you. I don't know how they knew he was on the train.
And
they were on the same
also
train.
Just because it's not nice, don't karate chop dwarves in the neck. Don't do that either.
They're not midgets, they're dwarves. That is what they would like to be called. And I would also like to bring more awareness to little people unaliving themselves. I think it's something that needs to have more awareness. Yeah, there's some dialogue in this movie. I'm like, oh, he just doesn't care, does he? Like,
no, he just throws it out there. Nope.
So yeah, there were. I'm like, whoa, I don't remember that because, like I said, it's been like 10 years since I've seen the movie.
Jimmy gets drunk and he's talking about the race war that's coming, and all Colin Farrell's concerned about is all the people that are in between. White and black.
What about the Vietnamese?
What about the Vietnamese? What about the Pakistanis?
The blacks.
Yeah. Like that. That stuff was funny. Like I enjoyed all that. All that stuff was good. Yeah, the scene with the kid with the Canadian guy was funny in the dinner. Like that was all good. Like there's very funny stuff.
But a woman coming at me with a bottle?
No, that's just self-defense now.
Self-defense.
Yeah.
When she bails him out of jail. I'll pay you back as soon as I can, and I'll return all your acid and ecstasy.
English humor,
English. Some really good stuff. Some really emotional stuff. I did not expect, like I said, because it's been 10 years, so I don't really remember everything. I forgot that Brendan Gleeson jumped off the tower and
didn't die immediately.
Didn't die immediately on impact.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Take my gun. Oh wait, this thing is broken. I've got to go find mine now.
Right.
And then all the stuff in the and shout out to the hotel owner too for not backing down, even though she's pregnant. She's like, I got to save my baby. No, she's like, this is my hotel. You guys get out.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah.
I want to know. I'm wondering if before Wolf of Wall Street, where this ranked, like in terms of dropping the F-bomb, because it dropped quite a bit.
No, that'd be a good question if I could look up. I remember I did it on. I think I did it on Tournament Vice. I looked up like the F-bomb like movie, the records or whatever. Because Wolf of Wall Street has the record right now. But yeah, I don't know, because does it feel like a lot? I feel like I didn't hear a ton, but mine is just more casual. I don't catch all the ones when it's just a casual conversation.
It definitely just in casual conversation. I think it like shows up at least 8 times in the first message that Ray Fiennes leaves too. For the guys, but
Well, it's not in the top 20. It's not in the top 30.
Maybe it just feels like it because it's like
not in the
an
top
hour.
50.
Okay, maybe it just feels like a lot because it's like an hour and 45 minutes, and it feels like on average, the F word per minute. Maybe there's just moments where it's dropped like repeatedly that it just feels like it's more than it actually is.
Yeah.
That could
it's
be
not in the top 100, so if that answers your question.
I'd have to look up that there we
126, but even make it in like the top 100, you have to drop like 250 nowadays because there's so many. Yeah, you got to drop at least 2 bills or 250 to get in there. So yeah.
Maybe that could be a tournament fight. The top 64 movies with the most F-bombs.
Yeah, it's weird. There's a couple of documentaries because there's like a documentary just called "Fuck" that obviously explores it, over and over again because it's said, I think it's number 2. It has 857 uses of it because it's all about that word, But and there's another documentary as well. But the actual top couple of just regular theater movies, it's like Wolf of Wall Street, Uncut Gems, The Outpost, Summer of Sam.
Really, Uncut Gems? I wouldn't expect.
Uncut Gems has a ton. Again, in casual conversation, they're just dropping it left and right, so it's just like a lot. Yeah. But yeah, Casino, Alpha Dog, a movie you really like. Straight out of Compton. Things like that.
I can see that because that's a nearly 3-hour movie too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We can make one out of it, but it'd be a lot of like gangster movies and dirty comedies and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, yeah. In Bruges, I'm really glad I rewatched it. I'm glad you watched it for the first time. I think, it's funny that we did this the same week as the 2008 ladder series, and In Bruges made it pretty far both times. It lost in the
and literally when I felt bad because the tournament, the final one started, and I was only halfway through it because I just didn't have any time and I hadn't finished it yet, and I was like, I wish I had time to finish it. I just didn't because I had to set up the stream and stuff too, and I had to run all this stuff, and I just didn't have time, and I wish I did. But no, I still liked it. I will definitely go back and revisit it again in a couple of years for sure.
Yeah, and I think the path that it went on in those tournaments, like The Wrestler, it deserved to win part 1, but I was really hoping
for the championship.
When it was the same exact matchup, just in the final 4. I was like, oh, that's funny how that worked out. I was hoping, well, The Wrestler had its moment, and now let's give it to In Bruges. But I guess in the championship, you want the true best movie of the year.
But in that case, In Bruges should have won the other one then. The Wrestler should have won the championship. Yeah.
I would have reversed it.
In Bruges would have been good enough to win at least the part 1. Yeah.
Yeah, and then The Wrestler, which I think might be my favorite movie of 2008 besides the Dark Knight. So yeah, weird that the Dark Knight didn't win the 2008 tournament, but I guess because it's won before and now it's all about unique winners. But we're at the 128.
Yeah, I know, we already passed that now. We're at number 130 now. So
yeah,
anything goes now. Yeah,
let's just vote for our favorite or the best movie.
It's all good.
But yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure we'll see what other tournaments In Bruges could possibly make. Jordan's been talking about doing the next 64, and In Bruges might show up for me. So
okay,
maybe it'll show up then. I don't know, but I don't know what other, unless there's a dark comedy tournament or something at some point.
Yeah, but again, what constitutes that? I don't know. Didn't we have it? Didn't we have it in the city tournament though? Because Bruges counted as that. So I think
probably it was probably in that one.
It was in there. That's really the only other one I could think of. Yeah, unless we actually put any of these guys in their own filmography versus thing, against, somebody else. Colin Farrell's racking it up. We could do a Colin Farrell versus somebody like that in the future. I think he's got enough now, looking back, that he could definitely roll with something like that. As much as he cranks it out. Yeah.
I think you do call if there's enough Brendan Gleeson. I think that would be a fun tournament.
It could be, yeah, and you would have the couple of crossovers there. And if Brendan Gleeson has enough, that people have heard of, because he does have a few that are kind of more European movies, minor
roles.
Yeah, but In that case, let's go Lake Placid.
Mission Impossible 2 is up there.
The Paddington movies are in there, right?
There's a few Harry Potters.
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow. He's got some stuff. The Smurfs, there you go. No,
so maybe not a 64, maybe a half bracket.
Right. We could do the Martin McDonough regulars tournament, and you could do like Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Ray Fiennes, and like Frances McDormand, something like that. Roll some of them in there. Yeah. I don't know, something like that.
But this was good. Battle of the Penguins.
You know what? It's not a bad idea because they've done enough kind of character actor roles as well, as well as kind of starring stuff, that they could do. So yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. We're gonna do a battle of the Jokers when Joker comes out. We're gonna do a battle of the Alfreds. Because then Lion King would have another shot for you with Jeremy Irons.
3-time winner. Let's go.
Yeah, we could do. We could do a Battle of the Penguins. Yeah, those two.
That would be bad.
Keep doing the Batman themed ones. Can't do Riddler. We already did Jim Carrey. So sorry, Paul Dano.
Sorry, Paul
Dano. You'll have to wait your turn. The Battle of the Catwomen. Got Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry, Anne Hathaway. Yeah, do a 3-way. Yeah, a 3-way. Hey.
Welcome to a podcast after dark.
That's right. I meant a 3-way tournament fight, Jacob. Get your head out of the gutter. A triple threat match. Like
okay. There we go.
Yeah. A triple threat. That's what I meant. I was totally being serious.
But anyway, this might have been my favorite decade personally, just because these are, like I said, 3 of these are movies that I've seen and that I really enjoyed, and a first time watch that I liked. But so far, I think we've been
pretty positive on a lot of the movies we've revisited. Though we haven't had a whole lot of outright stinkers or anything. I mean, I'm even looking over the list I had right now, and it's I think the lowest I've been on anything was Risky Business, and even that wasn't a badly made movie or anything. It was just still had good performances and stuff. It was just a weird movie, and everything else. I think we've, even We're Back is it's watchable. It's fine. I'm not, I think it was bad. Yeah. It's
compared to some other 90s animated movies that came out around that time.
You could do way worse than We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. That's for sure. I mean, we watched one called The Pebble and the Penguin. That was way worse. Troll in Central Park, which is way worse. We've been positive, and I don't see the next episode transitioning into the next time we will come back, any of those being duds either, because we've got a good lineup going into this one as well, because for our 10-year, again, we figured out a lot, all these pretty much at the beginning of the year. It was a while back, so we're finally getting to them now. But yeah, we've got Gravity, which was a big hit for 2013.
First time watch for me.
Oh, okay, nice. I think you'll like it. It's what's cool about that movie? It's a big budget, giant movie. It's a tight 85 minutes, Jacob. It's great. Man, we get right to the point in that movie, man, and they just never let up. It's really, really good. Fruitvale Station, which would be a first time watch for me. I have not seen Fruitvale Station. I need to fill in my Ryan Coogler, because I know that's before he did, Black Panther and all that. Yeah, Fruitvale and Creed and all that kind of stuff. So I'll get to that one. We got Upgrade for a 5-year, 2018. You've seen Upgrade, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's another one that I've seen it, but I have not seen it since the theater, since 5 years ago. So it'll be interesting to watch with Logan Marshall Green, aka not Tom Hardy, as I like to call him.
which is funny because it's sort of a Venom movie without Venom.
Yeah, kind of Venom. It's like his Venom movie. And didn't they come out the same year, 2018? Yeah. It was so that's weird, right? The other not Tom Hardy with a voice in his head. Yes, with skills. And then a documentary that I'm very high on called 3 Identical Strangers. We're going to talk about.
Yeah, which that'll be a first time watch for me.
That was one of my favorite movies of that year, because I like a really good documentary. And so you haven't seen that one, no? But I'm telling you, it's got a story in there that's as good as any kind of fiction story, of that year. The actual story they weave and tell that movie is very, very good. And then there's a reason it'll help, because I believe Ben Stiller's working on kind of a TV sort of miniseries that they're going to do, and kind of
I
a
remember
sequel
hearing
form
something
about
like
the thing.
that.
Yeah, that he's going to star and direct in. That's based on that story, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's a great story. Very twists and turns throughout that thing, but very entertaining. I like that documentary a lot, so I think you'll dig it when you get to it. So yeah, we got a couple of first times and a couple of rewatches in there. So, but again, another good mix of small budget, kind of independent movies. Got like a big budget Gravity, Upgrade with kind of again sort of a lower budget, action sci-fi kind of movie. Kind of a mid-budget movie, and then a good documentary. So should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we'll get into that not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend, and then we'll get into some horror stuff.
Ooh, yeah, we got to do a horror episode for that, which will work out perfectly. I believe we're going to do one of our franchise watches. Is that right? And
I believe so.
did we settle on Chucky, or do we want to pivot to something else?
Okay. I think Chucky, yeah, because like I said, I've now seen Bride of Chucky, and I feel like I need to go back and just watch the series through.
Yeah,
and then we'll decide this now. Do we include the remake, or do we just go with the original series?
I think we just go with the originals, man. It's too weird without Brad Dourif. it's just too weird. And yeah, it's kind of a remake in name only, because they do a whole different thing with the Chucky character, and it's very strange, like what they do with that. So we can talk about it for a second, because I saw it in theaters. I have not seen it since then. We can touch on it for a second, but it won't be like an official entry. I think we just go Child's Play through, as of right now, Cult of Chucky, but they do have the TV show as well, which I have not seen any of the TV show. But I've heard decent things about it, but it's one of those weird ones. It's kind of in continuity, but kind of not. Like, it's got Jennifer Tilly and it's got Brad Dourif, and I know Andy shows up again, Alex Vincent. But yeah, the continuity of the whole series is a little wonky, as you'll see as we go through it. What they choose to include and not include from movie to movie. But it's a breezy, fun series. All those movies are like 90 minutes. They're really, really tight. I have my favorite. It has its ups and downs like every other franchise, but it should be a good talk. I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah, and that DVD or Blu-ray set is pretty cheap online. I bought the Blu-ray years back. Got it. Oh yeah, pretty inexpensive. Yeah, and I think a lot of them dropped on Peacock as well. I think somebody, one of them owns like the whole franchise right now, and
I know the series is on there.
Yeah,
but I think like the first 2 or 3 may have been on there. Maybe they're all on there now because we're getting the
as of right now. OG Child's Play is on Max, and then I think it jumps to Peacock. Child's Play 2 is on Peacock. Child's Play 3 is on Peacock. And I think it's weird. It's like one of those franchises where like there's always something goofy with one of the originals or one of the sequels, and then it's like then everything else will be on one service. It's very strange. Yeah, Bride is on Peacock. Seed is on Peacock. Curse is on Peacock, and Cult is on Peacock. So everything except for the first one, which is on Max.
Yeah, I think the most recent Halloween movies are on Peacock, but like 4, 5, and 6 are on Paramount.
Yeah, because they were, it's like it's all these deals that they made, before the actual streaming services kind of became into their own, because a lot of these movies, even though, something will be owned by Paramount or owned by Sony or whatever, sometimes don't always end up on there because of deals that were made 5 years ago for those movies, to be in a certain place at a certain time. So it's just weird like that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So most of them are on Peacock, other than the first one, but still easy to find.
Yeah, so we'll finish our anniversary series here in a couple weeks, and then we'll dive into Chucky, do some horror for the month of October. Yeah, and I was looking at the schedule, or like the way we do it, and as of right now, we'd be doing that. What would we be doing? Because we'd be going
14th and the 28th, I believe, would be the 2 Saturdays or something around there.
Yeah, the 14th and the 28th. So, because the 14th would be our
anniversary show,
and then the 28th would be Chucky. So, if we wanted to do another horror centric or Halloween themed, I would not be opposed to going the 21st either, if that's something you wanted to discuss off screen.
We'll discuss it. If we did, it'd have to be on the Sunday because I will be out of town for that Saturday.
Okay.
I will be doing a wrestling show. I'll be Ref Pez that night in
nice.
Jacksonville, and then I'll be returning. I'll be back in North Carolina the following night, Sunday night. But I will be resuming my referee duties, and I'll be going back to Jacksonville for a couple of days on that weekend.
Nice.
So yes, for their sort of October Halloween show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you gonna dress up?
Not for the show. I got to put stripes on.
You're gonna wear like a horror mask or something while you're reffing.
At one point, they were going to do a costume contest, and I had actually looked into all the pieces to do an old school Jim Cornette outfit.
Oh, nice.
Like with the tennis racket and like a red sports coat and like green pants and like a red tie, like a one of those like the ones you wear in the 80s or something like that, really over the top, the big square Coke bottle glasses, things like that. I've looked into it. I could do it
nice.
if I wanted to. I think I could make it work, but that would be sure. One as far as like a wrestling cosplay sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, that's October. What about for this last week, September? What's going on?
Well, the week's filling up quickly, Jacob. We got speaking of horror, I think over on Henry Confidential channel, we'll be doing just a Friday the 13th sort of roundtable discussion to kind of kick off some horror festivities tomorrow night. I think we moved our tier ranker to Wednesday, but yeah, that tier ranker is going to be nuts. It's the 100th episode. I went through the archives. I finished the list today, this morning. We have 134 movies that were all top threes in past movie thing. Now, some a little not as hard as others. Some very specific tier rankers that I don't think will do good in a larger context, But even then, there's bangers in there. There's all timers, so that'll be tricky. But that should still be fun. Obviously, we'll jump back into some Lonely Marks on Thursday, me and you, Jacob, and then the rest of the guys. Because nothing happened this past week that we need to talk about in the world of wrestling, right?
No, so I think that's why we're just gonna do, the ECW show. We'll talk Wrestle Dream, maybe some wrestlers getting fired.
Maybe just a few that got released. Just a couple here.
Because I feel like some of them will come back. I feel like it's just they'll get released, they'll restructure. I don't know. I can't just restructure their contract, but I'll save them for Thursday.
But again, it was weird that we did our show on Tuesday, and then that Thursday they released all these people. We could have had something to talk about because I felt like we had a lighter show on Thursday. And then we just did a draft. That happened. But hey, it is what it is. We'll talk about it this Thursday, and then we'll do a Westerns tournament on Friday night. So that's kind of what I got coming up in the immediate future. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I'm pretty much just on Lonely Marks, and then I'm probably hosting a Wrestling with Trivia. I let JPO know that I wrote some questions. It's all WWE from the 90s and before. I don't think he's put the sign up out there yet, but not 90s and before, but 90s and after. 90s till now. So that'll probably happen sometime this week as well. But other than that, I don't really have much going on. So.
And I think JPO signed me up or in a group just because I how much I'm a glutton for punishment with bad movies. But I think on Thursday night we got a special, me and Malcolm and a couple of people. We're calling ASAT Razzies. We're doing like a bad movie ASAT. So that'll be on Thursday night, at the 7 o'clock. If you want to tune into that, that should be fun. Nice. So just all rotten piss poor movies on Rotten Tomato. It's just all stinkers, but all questions about that. So that should be fun. So
I was going to say, if it was the Razzies, there's a couple of good movies in there, actually.
No, that we might have talked about if you want to go into our archives where the Razzies got it wrong. But no, these are legitimately bad movies, stinky movies that he's going to ask us about. So that should be interesting.
Yeah. So check all that out. Share, subscribe. It means a lot to us if you do that. We appreciate it. Hit the bell so you're notified when we go live, because it's not always the same time, not always the same day, but we appreciate when you guys watch, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay. We appreciate everyone tuning in and taking time out of their busy schedules to just hear two guys talking about movies. So that is Pez. I am Jacob. This has been a podcast about movies. We will see you next time.